This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we have some breaking news in the past 12 hours here. Donald Trump has fired 17 attorneys general in what a lot of media folks are calling a Friday night massacre. So first of all, is this legal?
No, it's not legal. The fact is that federal law protects inspectors general from arbitrary firing. It says that they can only be fired by the president for cause, and that cause has to be submitted to Congress, and there has to be a 30-day period. So in other words, the President Trump would have to do the firing himself, not one of his underlings, which appears to have been the case here. But more importantly, he'd have to present a reason to Congress in advance. And of course, they haven't done that. But that shouldn't surprise you, because Donald Trump is a lawless president. And Donald Trump and his administration want to be lawless. In other words, they could do it the other way, and Lord knows Republicans in Congress wouldn't have the spine or backbone to stand up to him. But he wants to force illegal and compromised processes from the get-go, because he wants to set that precedent that he can show that he can get away with anything, and that Republicans won't back him down. And look, that's why I connect this very much so to what we saw with Pete Hegseth. Right? Why did he lead with Pete Hegseth? Because he wants to show that he can make Republicans vote for anyone if he can make them vote for Pete Hegseth. Why did he fire this more than a dozen inspectors general? Because again, he wants to show that he's in charge, and that Republicans like Senator Grassley, who has proclaimed for years and years how he's the protector of inspector generals, that nobody's going to stand up to him.
So what's the recourse here? We know that what he did was illegal. We know that these people required 30 days notice. We know that it has to be done by Trump himself. And we know that he needs cause to have done this. And so what recourse do we have?
So I would assume that one or more of these purportedly fired, and I don't say fired because this is something Donald Trump has tried to do. It's like the birthright citizenship, right? Donald Trump doesn't have the power to do a birthright citizenship, so he can claim that he does, but he hasn't. Likewise, he can claim his administration can claim that these folks are fired, but they're not. I assume one of them will go to court and block this, and it'll be blocked, right? But once again, Donald Trump is doing these things as much to show that the Republican Party is toothless. The fact that the courts will then back him down on some of these things, that's good. And like, we shouldn't minimize the importance of that. And I've talked a lot about the importance of courts, but it should not obscure what is going on here, which is the absolute cowardice of the Republican Party, the absolute willingness of the Republican Party to go along with whatever illegal, unconventional, anti-American, whatever it is, they'll go along.
Right. They're basically showing, these people are basically showing, this is a test against them, really. I mean, the people who should be humiliated here, the people who are really being attacked here are not necessarily just the inspectors general. It is Donald Trump testing the fence to see where it's weakest. And he's proving, by virtue of these Republicans refusing to have any autonomy, which they should. I mean, that they are a co-equal branch of government, but by virtue of them refusing to have their own autonomy, he's basically proving that whatever he wants to do, he'll be able to get one over on them, and they're not going to serve as a bulwark against him. Mark, in that case, even if the courts block them, is there a situation where Donald Trump can say that he has cause because of any reason, and he might relent and say, okay, I'll fire these people for cause, I'll give them the 30 days required, but then they have to be ousted from their positions? Who's the arbiter of whether or not the cause that he gives to fire them is valid?
Yeah, I think you raised the right next question. And I think we need to sort of brace ourselves for a few realities. The first is that it's almost certainly the number is going to increase. I mean, just honestly, between last night when this news broke and when we are recording, the number of fired IGs has increased significantly.
Right.
And I think that before all is said and done, we will find out that number is even higher than what we are conservatively, you and I are talking about today because Donald Trump does want to test that fence, right? He does want to show it. And there's no reason why he would limit himself to just a dozen or a dozen and a half or even 2 dozen, right? There are 70 or so total inspectors general. And I suspect that this is either being done in waves or that not all of the inspector generals who have been fired have come public yet. But number one, I think we need to brace ourselves that this will be worse. Number two, I think we need to brace ourselves that this is not just going to be inspectors general, right? You and I have talked about Project 2025 and Schedule F and the desire by Donald Trump to replace large swaths of the nonpartisan independent parts of the federal government with political cronies. And so I think we need to be prepared that, again, this will not just be inspectors general. This will be other parts of the federal government that we expect to be nonpartisan and protected. Number three, which is your direct question, he will manufacture cause. That is what authoritarians do. That is what wannabe dictators do, is that they lie about people who are threats to their power. Now, sometimes they lie about those people in ways that are very obvious. Look at the lies that, unfortunately, he has told about public officials and the wildfires in California, where he has lied about everything from water availability to the roles of what people fighting the fires did to what government officials done. Right. We're used to those kinds of lies. What I think we are less ready for, but which we have to be what we have to be prepared for, is him lying about individuals who he wants to remove or who he wants to tarnish, who may not be household names, right? Like it may, Gavin Newsom, when he lies about Gavin Newsom, in some sense, we kind of are used to that. But when he lies about an inspector general who none of us know and whose name is not familiar to people, we all need to be prepared to not believe those lies.
Yeah.
We need to start with the presumption that when he comes forward and says, here is the cause for firing these people, that it is nonsense, that is pretextual. And unfortunately, the legacy media will report it as, today Donald Trump fired this person for this reason.
Right, just basically acting as his stenographer.
Correct. And we cannot allow that to happen. We must all stand up and presume that when he lies about the cause for firing these inspector general or others, that it is pretextual, that it is a lie, and we need to start with a posture of disbelieving, not with a posture of believing.
Right. And that's such a great point, and one that I was actually going to bring up. And I think underscoring the importance of that is the legacy media will not, has not, and has no intention to learn its lesson on that front. So for folks who are watching right now, to support media that is willing to engage in fearless journalism, is willing to hold power to account, please sign up for Democracy Docket. It's the news outlet Marc founded to focus on everything voting and elections. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Marc, I want to read.
Yeah, and I want to give you just not that it's, picking on the Washington Post is easy these days, but as we are recording this, the Washington Post sub-headline is "The dismissals appeared to violate federal law, which requires Congress to receive 30 days notice of any intent to fire a Senate-confirmed inspector general." Okay. What is the word "appears" doing in that sentence, right? I mean, they state, as a matter of fact, that it requires Congress to receive 30 days notice. Congress did not receive 30 days notice, right? That's not a disputed, there's no disputed fact. So why is
the guy who has been in office for all of 6 days did not give 30 days notice?
Correct, right? So why is the legacy media hedging here?
Right.
Of all publications, the Washington Post, which made its national name by going after Richard Nixon and the Saturday Night Massacre, where Richard Nixon tried to fire people, is now hedging.
Yeah.
And how do you not read that, Brian, against the backdrop of a billionaire owner and a news publication and a broader legacy media system that wants to constantly be sort of holding out breadcrumbs for Donald Trump?
Yeah. Perfectly put. I want to read a tweet by Bill Kristol. He said, "The most straightforward pushback to IG firings would be a joint statement by, for example, McConnell, Grassley, Ernst, Collins, and Murkowski saying that they won't vote to confirm any nominees until satisfied there will be oversight in the agencies." Can I have your reaction to that? And is your reaction going to be anything other than would be nice, but these people very clearly just don't have the spine for it.
They don't have any spine. They don't have collectively a spine. If you took all of their, if you went into all of their spinal columns collectively and you like tried to cobble it together,
couldn't even cobble together one full spinal column from that.
One full spinal column. You might not be able to put together one vertebra. Yeah. I mean, just this is the point: is that Donald Trump is getting away with this because Republicans don't have a spine. And I know what some of your listeners are out there going to say, what about the Democrats? Democrats don't run the show. Democrats don't control the Senate. Democrats don't control the House. Democrats don't have power in the executive branch. This is up to the Republicans. I am sure that if those Republicans issued that statement, you'd get plenty of Democrats who would join them, right? Yeah. But the problem is that we cannot let Donald Trump do what he always does, which is get Democrats finger pointing between the left and the right and the center. We need to keep our focus on what is going on here, which is a Republican Party that is from top to bottom under his control, and a lack of courage among Republicans. And again, I'm going to say this, and I realize I am a broken record. There is a reason why Donald Trump appointed Kash Patel. There is a reason why he's appointed Tulsi Gabbard. There's a reason why he put Pete Hegseth at the front of the line. He wants to humiliate these Republicans, and because he knows that once they have voted for these folks, he will own them. Yeah. They will not have a shred of dignity or standing left. And so that's why we're not going to see the statement that Bill Kristol suggests. And probably Bill Kristol knows that.
We'll leave it there. Of course, we'll stay on top of this if we have any update on this front. Again, for those who are watching right now, you can also follow Democracy Docket if you want any updates on this front as well. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.